All right, here are solutions for quiz 6 for Math 211. A couple problems here, well, a couple sections anyways. The first section has to do with order of operations. So you're given this jumble kind of like we had in class and asked what it's equal to. And what you need to know is that kind of this PEMDAS idea that the order that you go in is first you look for parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication and division are a tie, and then addition and subtraction are a tie, and that you break ties by going left to right. So I don't see any parentheses or exponents, so I'm going to move straight to multiplication and division. You see division here and multiplication here. So they're tied. Do I do this division first or do I do this multiplication? Well, I go left to right. So first I'm going to do 12 divided by 2. To get here. And then I'm going to do this 6 times 3 to get 2 plus 18 minus 1 plus 4. So now I've taken care of all of my multiplication and division. So I'm going to move on to addition and subtraction. And again, they tie in order, so you go left to right. First you do 2 plus 18 to get 20 minus 1 plus 4. And then 20 minus 1 gives you 19 plus 4. And 19 plus 4 is equal to 23. Okay, now I'm asked to add one set of parentheses to make this thing equal to 18. So I want it to be 5 less than what it currently is. I don't know if it helps to think about it that way. One way you can come up with this, the trick to making this thing equal to 18 is if you throw the parentheses here. I think this works out. And I don't know, maybe you just get this as a guess and check thing or something. But with the parentheses there, we'd first deal with what is inside the parentheses. So I'd take care of 3 minus 1, which is equal to 2. That'll get me at this step here. And then there's no more parentheses. So I'd go through my order of operations, multiplication and division. So multiplication here, 2 plus 6 times 2 plus 4. Multiplication and division again, 2 plus 6 times 2 is 12 plus 4. And 2 plus 12 is 14 plus 4 more gives me 18, which is what I was going for. 2 sets of parentheses make this thing equal to 16. Well, again, you can kind of just guess and check your way through this, I guess. The way this one goes is if you put parentheses around or at least one way you can get there is parentheses around this 2 plus 12. That gives you 14 divided by 2 times 3. And then parentheses around this 1 plus 4. So we'd subtract 1 plus 4 is equal to 5. And I think this ends up being equal to 16. Let's see, 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7. And 7 times 3 is equal to 21. And 21 minus 5, sure enough, that gives you 16. And now add as many sets of parentheses as you want to make this thing as large as possible. The trick here that we saw in class is that the way you make things large is taking advantage of your multiplication here. So I wanted the biggest numbers possible on the left and right of this multiplication. So right now I just multiply by 3 on this side, which is all right, but I can make it bigger if I throw some parentheses in here. Because then on the right side of this multiplication sign, I have a 6. 3 minus 1 is equal to 2, and 2 plus 4 is 6. And you can add more parentheses in here if you feel like it, but nowhere else adding parentheses will make this any bigger than 6. So then you come and stare over at this side, and you want to make this thing as large as possible. Well, right now it's 12 divided by 2 is 6, plus 2 more is 8 on the left-hand side. And I think that'll make this thing as large as possible. So I'm going to throw parentheses around this entire thing here. I could put more parentheses in here to make it 12 plus 2. That would give me 14. But 14 divided by 2 is just 7. And if I have the parentheses they are right now, I think I end up with 8. I end up with 2 plus 6. So I get 8 times 6, which is equal to 54. I believe that's as large as you'll be able to make this thing. All right, next page, mental math. This first one, the trick is to recognize, I don't know how to write this, maybe that I have 1 less than some nice round number and 1 more than some nice round number. If I were to FOIL those out algebraically, what I end up with is 1 less than the square of that nice round number. So what I'm saying is if I could square 70 and subtract 1 from it, I'd get my answer. Well, 70 squared, 7 squared is 49. So 70 squared would be 49 with 2 zeros after it. So if I get 1 less than that, I'd end up with this. All right, how about this one? Well, the trick here is to recognize that you have an 11 in each of these terms. And so if you kind of think about the distributive property backwards, I guess, if you want, this is the same. This is 137 groups of 11, and I'm getting rid of 132 groups of 11. So what I have left over is 5, the difference between 137 and 132 groups of 11. 5 groups of 11, that's just 55. To show my work, I could write something like maybe I'll even write distributive property. On this last one, 125 times 16, a couple of different ways you can do it. One option would be to think about this as we kind of have this double it, half it idea. So this would be the same as 250 times 8. Maybe 250 times 8 is something you can do in your head. If not, maybe 25 times 8 is something you can do in your head, and then you can tack on a 0 at the end. If that doesn't work, you can double it again and half it again. So this is the same as 250 times 8, and so it's also the same as 500 times 4. And 500 times 4, maybe you can do in your head. So I'm not supposed to write my work. That would be equal to 2,000. Option 1, double it, half it. It's kind of the way we described it in class. 250 times 8. Or if you prefer 500 times 4. Or if you prefer 1,000 times 2, whatever of those is the easiest for you, one way you get over to here. Option 2, you could maybe think about it as 100 16s plus 25 more 16s. I don't know if that's easier for you. Maybe think money. This would be 16. Instead of 125, think about it, 125 pennies, so $1.25. $16 gives me $16. And then 16 quarters gives me $4 more. $4 from here, and 16 quarters from here. So that gives you a total of 8. Oh, that's not $4. It's $16 over here. Shoot. And 16 quarters. And the 16 quarters is what's equal to $4. So I end up with 16 plus $4, or 20 bucks. So my answer is 2,000. Maybe I can write pennies if you want, because this 125 was in pennies to begin with, because it wasn't 1.25, it was 125. Something like that. A couple different ways you could get there. At any rate, your answer should be 2,000. And I guess that ends this quiz.